Have you ever wondered how female erection works? It's a question that might surprise you. After all, we live in a society that often perceives erection as a solely male phenomenon. But guess what? That's a common misconception. Just like men, women too experience a form of erection. Yes, you heard it right, the process might be less visible, but it is equally fascinating and intricate. It's a symphony of intricate physiological processes, all working in harmony to create a response to sexual arousal. And no, this isn't some rare isolated occurrence, it's something that happens to women everywhere, every day. It's a natural part of the human sexual response and a testament to the complexity of female sexual physiology. So, why is it that we don't hear about it as often? Well, that's part of what makes it so fascinating. So let's delve into the complex and intriguing world of female erections. To truly comprehend female erections, we first need a basic understanding of the female sexual anatomy. Let's start with the clitoris. Often misunderstood and underestimated, the clitoris is a powerhouse of pleasure. It's a small, sensitive organ located at the top of the vulva, where the inner labia meet. The clitoris is unique in that it's the only human organ whose sole function is to generate pleasure. Like the male penis, the clitoris fills with blood and becomes erect during sexual arousal. However, the majority of it is hidden from view, with only a small portion visible externally. Next, let's move on to the labia. The labia are the lips that surround the vagina. They come in two pairs, the larger fleshy outer labia, or labia majora, and the thinner, more delicate inner labia, or labia minora. The labia serve several purposes. They protect the clitoris and the vaginal opening, and they also swell with blood and become more sensitive during arousal. And finally, we have the vagina. The vagina is a muscular canal that extends from the vulva to the cervix, the lower part of the uterus. It's flexible and can stretch to accommodate anything from a tampon to a baby during childbirth. During sexual arousal, the vagina self-lubricates to prepare for sexual intercourse. While the clitoris, labia, and vagina are the main players in female arousal, it's important to remember that everyone is unique. What works for one person may not work for another, and that's okay. The key to understanding female arousal is communication, patience, and exploration. So, we've laid out the groundwork. We've talked about the clitoris, the unsung hero of pleasure, the labia, the protectors of the sexual organs, and the vagina, the versatile and accommodating canal. We've debunked a few myths and hopefully shed some light on the often misunderstood world of female arousal. Now that we've covered the basics, let's explore the process of female arousal in more depth. The process of female erection is a complex ballet of biological and psychological factors. You see, it's not as one-dimensional as you might think. In fact, the intricacies of female arousal are quite fascinating, involving both mind and body in a delicate yet profound dance. Now let's take a closer look. The journey to female arousal begins with sexual stimuli. These stimuli can be physical, such as a touch, or psychological, like a thought or fantasy. This initial spark triggers a cascade of events within the body, all working in perfect harmony to prepare for sexual activity. The brain, the master conductor of this beautiful symphony, sends signals down the spinal cord to the nerves of the genital area. These signals then prompt the blood vessels to dilate, leading to an increased blood flow to the genitals. This is where the magic really happens. The clitoris, an organ solely dedicated to sexual pleasure, becomes the star of the show. It swells as it fills with blood, much like its male counterpart, the penis. But the clitoris is not alone in this performance. The labia, or outer lips, also become engorged, creating a protective cushion around the vaginal opening. At this point, the clitoris becomes erect, standing ready for its moment in the spotlight. Its sensitivity intensifies, primed and ready for sexual stimulation. The body at this stage is fully prepared for sexual activity, with every element from the brain to the genitals playing its part in the symphony of arousal. But this is not the end of the story. The body continues to respond to sexual stimuli, maintaining the state of arousal until the climax or orgasm is achieved. Then, and only then, does the body begin to return to its normal state, concluding the magnificent performance that is female arousal. So, that's the science behind female erections, but what happens if things don't quite go as planned? Well, that's a story for another time. For now, let's appreciate the complex and beautiful symphony that is female arousal. Just like men, women can also experience problems with sexual arousal. Enter the silent struggle of female erectile dysfunction, a less discussed but equally impactful aspect of women's sexual health. It's a complex issue, one that doesn't just stem from a single source, but rather a myriad of interconnecting factors. A woman's sexual response can be likened to a nuanced dance, an intricate interplay between mind, body, and emotions. And when one of these elements is off balance, the entire dance can falter. For instance, hormonal imbalances, particularly those affecting estrogen and testosterone, can directly impact a woman's sexual desire and response. An imbalance can cause a decrease in arousal, making it a challenge to engage in or even enjoy sexual activities. But it's not just about the biological. Psychological factors also play a significant role. Stress, anxiety, depression, and past traumatic experiences can all cast a shadow over a woman's sexual health. These mental and emotional burdens can create a barrier, preventing a woman from freely expressing and experiencing her sexuality. And let's not forget the impact of certain medications. Many commonly prescribed drugs, including certain antidepressants and blood pressure medications, can dampen sexual desire and response. It's a side effect often overlooked, yet it can be a major contributing factor to female erectile dysfunction. Female erectile dysfunction is not a standalone issue. It's deeply intertwined with a woman's overall well-being, affecting her self-esteem, relationships, and quality of life. It's a silent struggle, often swept under the rug, hidden behind closed doors. Yet it's important to remember that this struggle is not a sign of weakness or failure. It's a health issue, just like any other, and it's nothing to be ashamed of. The journey towards understanding and addressing female erectile dysfunction might be challenging, but it's certainly not impossible. It requires an open dialogue, comprehensive medical evaluations, and a willingness to explore various therapeutic options. As with any health issue, understanding and awareness are the first steps towards finding a solution. Understanding the process of female erection not only demystifies female sexuality, but also helps us appreciate the complexity of the human body. We've delved into this intricate process, from the science that underpins this phenomenon to the everyday experiences of women. We've also touched on the silent struggle, the misconceptions, and the lack of awareness that often surrounds female arousal. The human body is a marvel, a symphony of biological processes that work together to create experiences, sensations, and emotions. Female arousal is a part of this symphony, an intricate dance of physiological responses that deserves to be understood and celebrated. Moreover, acknowledging and understanding female arousal can lead to healthier relationships, better sexual health, and a more inclusive society. It can break down barriers and dispel myths, leading to a more enlightened view of sexuality. So next time you think about sexual arousal, remember, it's not just a guy thing, it's a human thing.